So in a previous class, so we have seen how we can commit and push our project to your local and remote repositories. So once our project is present in our remote repositories, then so Jenkins is a tool which will automatically pull all the files from the GitHub repository, and then it will execute our automation. So Jenkins is basically a continuous integration tool. What is continuous integration means? The development and testing. So these two teams working together, and every day the developer will push their own code, and every night they will create a build from the in the DevOps environment, and every day we'll get the new build from the DevOps. So this process will go like a cyclic nature. So till we reach out to the end of the testing cycle. So we'll get a number of builds. So similarly, every day we have to add some more test cases, and we do some changes in our automation. So whenever you do some changes, immediately you have to make sure those changes should be part of your local repository and also remote repository. Every day we have to commit and push our code to the remote repositories. So this process is called continuous integration process. And similarly, there is another process called CD, continuous delivery, continuous integration, continuous delivery, or continuous deploy. So what is CD process means? As soon as our testing is completed, so development will go on like this, and at the parallelly the testing is also go on. And once the testing is also done, we will release the some piece of code or piece of software to the customer, and we'll deploy the software to the customer, and that is also continuously happen. So that process is called continuous delivery or continuous deployment. So if you look at the DevOps, if you just Google it in the DevOps, you will see this kind of picture. Let me show you. Okay, just type DevOps. You can see this kind of a picture you can see. So this picture is basically representing the entire DevOps process. And this is combining of two processes. One is CI process, other one is a CD process. So the first part is called CI, second part is called CD. Okay, so if I look at this, the picture will be like this: continuous integration and continuous delivery. So, so this is a process. So this part is called continuous integration. This part is called continuous delivery or continuous deployment. So in this, the testing and development. In this, the development and release. So the process between the testing and development is part of is called as a continuous integration process, because developer will continuously deploy the code and build the code, and we will get that code and we will conduct the testing. So this is a cyclic process. And between the dev and release, so every time whenever you complete the testing, we will release or deploy the product to the customer. So this process is also continuously happening. As soon as the build is available, successful build is available or tested, that build will be released to the customer environment or deploy into the customer environment. This is called CD process, continuous delivery. So normally this process is taken care by the uh, RE team. RE is nothing but a release engineering team. Release engineering, or there is a separate team will be there to handle these kind of a processes. And the CA process, mostly testing and developers will be involved. And this particular CA process we can achieve using Jenkins tool. Jenkins is a tool through which we can automate the entire process. So from the side, developer side, they will integrate the code in the GitHub repository. DevOps team will pull those code and make the build. And once the build is available, at the other side, the Jenkins will pull our automation code from the GitHub. So for example, let's say this is our Jenkins tool, and from the developers and from the testers. In the last class, I have shown you one picture. So here our GitHub repository, and here the developer GitHub repository. So every day the developer push their code into the GitHub repository, and then Jenkins will pull the code from the GitHub repository, and they will create a build and then package it. And other side, we also upload our code in the GitHub repository, push our GitHub repository. Jenkins also will pull our automation code. And once the build is created and packaged, then this automation, whatever you uploaded, the test cases will be executed. So here automation execution will happen. So once our test cases are passed here, then build will be certified. So this process will be done by the Jenkins itself in the DevOps environment. So that's the reason Jenkins is owned by the DevOps team. So we are not owners of the Jenkins. So in the real environment, Jenkins will be installed on the DevOps machines and they will share the URL to us. So in the Jenkins, there is an administrator and he is a main controller of the entire Jenkins process, and he will create multiple users in Jenkins, and these users can access their own projects. They can create multiple projects in Jenkins, so they can access their own projects inside the Jenkins. So they will provide us the URL because Jenkins is a web-based application. So with that URL, we're able to access and we can log in and we can create our own project related configuration. So that is a part of us. And rest of the things, creating the build, packaging, run or automation, certification, these things will be done by the DevOps. And to perform these things also, they will automatically done by writing some piece of code, some automation scripts they will write their own, and those scripts will be executed inside the Jenkins itself. So Jenkins is a continuous integration tool, and creating the build, packaging it, run our automation, certification of the build, this process is called pipeline. Okay, build pipeline. So pipeline in the sense, let's say this is our pipe. The first part, second part, third part, and fourth part. So first here the coding will happen. And then after coding, the build will be creation. And after that, we'll run automation. That means testing and then deploy. So this process is called Jenkins pipeline. So these type of pipelines, the DevOps will be created inside the Jenkins. And every day this pipeline will automatically execute. So this is automated process based on the timelines they will set. So when the code should be available, when the build should be triggered, when the automation should run, when the deploy should be executed. So these pipelines will be automated inside the Jenkins. Okay. And this is again the role of the DevOps people. They can do that. So our job is we need to make sure our code is available in the GitHub repository, and how Jenkins will pull the code GitHub repository and then execute our automation. So this particular configuration we have to done in our Jenkins. So once we get an access from the Jenkins. So once we make available our code in the Jenkins, then the DevOps team will create the build a pipeline like this. And in the pipeline, again, the testing as well as the development, both will be combined. Because one side, they will pull the code from the developer code from the GitHub repository and build will be created, the package will be created. And then other side, they will pull our automation code from the GitHub repository, then they will run automation, then certification build will be happen. And once these activities are run, then build will be ready in the next morning. Then we'll again download the build in the testing, and then we'll continue the further testing. Because every day we will get some piece of some features on our application, some bug fixes in the build. So we need to take care of all those things. So this is called pipeline. So these type of pipelines we can create in Jenkins by taking help of Maven also. Okay, these are called Maven goals. And these Maven goals can be achieved within your Jenkins. Okay, so this is very high level process. Just to make you aware of these terminologies, I'm just giving the brief idea. What is pipeline? What is Jenkins? What is CA? What is CD and everything? Okay, just have some knowledge on these terminologies. Now we'll see how we can. So most of the time, sanity and regression test cases will be executed inside the Jenkins itself, because every day we will automate some more test cases, right? So we'll always make sure those test cases will be part of the GitHub repository. We will run all the test cases in the local environment first time, and everything is passed within your Eclipse. Then again, we will run them to command prompt, format XML, and then finally we push it to the GitHub repository. So GitHub repository, most of the test cases are available, not only sanity and regression, most of the test cases will be available. So most of the automation will be executed at the time of build creation itself. So that tomorrow morning, if I get any new build, we will deploy the build in the QA environment, and then we will automate the new test cases. And we will run those test cases in the local environment. If they are executing fine, then again, we will push that new latest code, latest test case in the GitHub repository. And again, next day night, the same test cases will be executed on the build. So most of the time, sanity, regression, main functional test will be executed in Jenkins itself. Okay, that's how we can, then a lot of time will be reduced for us. Okay, in the local environment, we'll try to automate new test cases, execute one round in locally, and then push it to the GitHub. So once you push it to the GitHub, then Jenkins will take care of execution. And Jenkins will execute all the test cases seamlessly. So headless mode, it will follow by default, because in the DevOps environment, the test cases will be executing me. They don't interested on the UI flows and everything, right? But we are not, we are interested on the UI flows and everything. So we always prefer the headed mode of testing, but Jenkins by default follow headless mode of testing because they are not bothered about UI flows and everything. Everything they will execute backend, and accordingly they can also reduce a lot of time. So this is the process, guys. Okay, now we'll see how we can execute our GitHub project inside the Jenkins and how we can install Jenkins. What are the configurations we have to do? I'll go to step by step. So listen very carefully and you guys can do later. So in yesterday, we have already pushed our project in the GitHub repository. So we need to have that URL first, which is very important. So once you have this URL, so we can run our project from anywhere because this is the global repository, right? So the global means even you can also run my project from GitHub. So if you have Jenkins installed on your system, you can run a project from this URL. Anybody can run this project from your Jenkins tool, which you have installed on your local machines. Okay, because this is a global. Fine. So before running this project in Jenkins, first of all, we have to install the Jenkins. So let us see the process of installation of Jenkins. And even in the Mac also, it is the same process. There is no difference. We need to just download one installer and execute it. I'll show you. So to download Jenkins, what we need to do is we need to go to their Jenkins official website. You can just type Google and download Jenkins. And you can just go to their official website. This is also free and open source tool. Okay. So go to their Jenkins website and click on this download button. And here you can see two sections: weekly releases, stable LTS. LTS is nothing but a long-term support. So we always go with the long-term support, stable releases. Weekly releases, they are not final builds actually. They are keep adding the more number of stuff. So here there are downloading Jenkins. In this section, you can see there are so many flavors of Jenkins is there. So Docker, Kubernetes, Ubuntu, Windows, OpenSUSE. There are different environments Jenkins will be supported. Okay, and these are not having long time support, so we are not going to prefer this. The first section we are going to prefer this. Again, to install Jenkins, there are two different ways. One is we can have this generic Java package. One single jar file will be there. We can download. And whenever you want to run Jenkins on your local system, you can just run this var file. That's it. When you run the var file, Jenkins will be ready. And when you stop running this var file, then Jenkins will be down. So whenever you want to run or stop Jenkins, you can simply do this by using this var file. For learning purpose, this is very, very useful. But in the real-time environment, they will download the installer file. .executable file will be there. Suppose if you are working on Windows, and there will be one executable file, and we'll download the exe file, and then we will install the Jenkins. The installation process is same, but the source is different. Here we are trying to install using var file. Here we are trying to install using installer file. It can be Mac or it can be Linux or Windows or whatever. But in all other environments, we use something called installer file, and other way is by using var file. But the screens, execution process, installation process, and everything is same. But if it is an executable file, you have to just double click on the executable file. The installation process will start. But if it is a var file, we need to manually run the var file through command prompt. Then the process will start. But once the process is started, installation process is started, the execution part like installation, steps, screens, navigation, everything is exactly the same. And one more difference is when I use var file, the command is running in the command prompt. So we need to minimize this command prompt. So your Jenkins keep and up and running. So once your job is completed in Jenkins, once your tasks are completed in Jenkins, then you can stop the Jenkins by stopping the var file. So always we can start and stop this var file so that you can have complete control on Jenkins. Whereas if it is a executable files, your Jenkins is always up and running. So you no need to stop and you don't need to start the Jenkins every time. This is always up and running. So whenever you need a Jenkins, you can work here. Another difference is in the var file, because this var file is provided only for learning purpose. So when I executing my test cases in the Jenkins, by default, it will follow the headed mode execution because this is provided for learning purpose. We can see all the screens, UIs, navigation, and everything on the execution. But when I install Jenkins through installer, either Windows, Mac, or anywhere, we cannot see the UI. So by default, they will follow headless mode of testing. So without having any UI flows and everything, the test cases will be executed at the backend. So these are the major differences. But the way of working is exactly the same. Internal, once you log into the Jenkins, project configuration, execution, everything is same. There is no much difference. Only the installation is the difference. So we will go with the generic Java package because we are learning it. But in the real time, you won't install any Jenkins, Maven, all these things. So in the real time, the DevOps team, they will own this particular Jenkins software. They will install in their environment. They will provide the access to you. Just you need to access it, but you don't need to install anything on your local systems. Okay, fine. Now we need to download this var file. Once you click on this var for the first one, it will automatically download a single var file. So var is nothing but a web archiving files. Web archiving. This is basically a web application, right? It is bundled everything into one single file. So if I just go back to the download section, I have already downloaded the var file. If I look at here, this is my file, jenkins.var. So once you downloaded this var file, you can just keep this var file somewhere in the C drive, D drive, or wherever you want. Don't keep inside the downloads itself, because sometimes we may delete the files from the download section, right? Once you download it, don't keep it here. Copy the file somewhere. So I have already copied some file in the automation project here. Here you can see my file is there. So jenkins.var. So this is a first step. So whatever the var file we have downloaded, we have to keep that var file inside the one folder. And then we have to run this var file. So first time when you run the var file, you need to do all the configurations, installation process and everything. But second time when you run var file, it will not ask anything. I will show you. So first time when you run the var file, so I have captured all the screenshots step by step. Just follow the same process. This is the latest version of Jenkins. I've just captured the latest screens. Okay. So this is my var file. And once you downloaded this var file, so we need to open the command prompt just like this. And if you're working on Mac, open the terminal. And this is the command prompt. And wherever the var file is got copied, you need to go to that location. So for example, I copied my var file here. So I'm just opening my command prompt. If I just type cmd, it will directly open the command prompt. If I say ls or dir, it will show you jenkins.var file. So wherever the var file is present, in the same location, we have to run the command. What is the command? Whenever you want to run the jar file, the command is same, java-jar. And then jenkins.var. Previously also we have run multiple jar files. Have you remember which jar file we have run? It can be var file or jar file. These are all Java files only. So whenever you want to run Java files, we use this command java-jar. Earlier also we have used multiple times. Have you remember when we have used this command java-jar jenkins.var? And this command java-jar, yes. Whenever you start Selenium grid standalone server, that is also jar file, right? We have downloaded this one, Selenium server jar. So to run this jar file also, we use java-jar command. So whenever you want to run var files or jar files, we use java-jar. That is a command. Remember this. Okay. So once you run this command, it will start the installation process. Now, once you run the jar file, so it will go through some statements like this. And in the same statements, you need to identify something called password. So this is a password. You can see here, I captured separate screen. So this is a admin password. You need to copy this password somewhere, some notepad or somewhere, because later we will use this to unlock the Jenkins, because by default Jenkins will come with some authentication. So before installing the Jenkins, we need to unlock the Jenkins. For that, we need this password. And suppose if you forgot to copy this password, you can find the password in this location. Default location is provided. So once you run this command jenkins.var, it will go through some process. And here we will see this. Jenkins initial setup is required. An admin user has been created and password generated. And here completed initialization. So you will get these screens. Okay, and then you need to copy this password somewhere and you need to minimize this command prompt. You should not close. And in the same screen, finally, you can see one message called Jenkins is fully up and running. You need to wait till you get this message in the command prompt. And also you need to copy this password. So once you get this message, Jenkins is fully up and running, you need to minimize this particular window just like this. Just minimize this window. Don't close this window and then proceed further steps. So once you minimize this window, by default, Jenkins will run on localhost 8080 port number. So once you open this port number 8080 localhost colon 8080, then you will see the unlock Jenkins screen. So whatever password we have already captured in the previous step from the command prompt, just you need to provide the same password here. Suppose if you forgot to copy this password in the command prompt, you can just go to this location here, red color, it will show you the location. Go to there and then copy this admin password. So this admin password will work only once to unlock the Jenkins, because we will unlock the Jenkins only once. Later, we will create admin account, user accounts, and so on. So once you provided administrator account, click on the continue. So once you unlock the Jenkins, then it will show you another screen like this, customize Jenkins. So here, by default, it will install some suggested plugin, because Jenkins will come up with some plugins, additional plugins we require to work with the different softwares. So by default, select this one, install suggested plugins. And later on, if you need any additional plugins are required, we will try to install. Okay, because Jenkins alone is not directly supporting Git, GitHub, Maven, all these tools. So there are internal plugins will be there. So those plugins we have to install. So install suggested plugin. Once you click on and then it will start the process. So you need to wait all these boxes are completed. So here folders are completed. Similarly, all these boxes will be completed. It will take 2 to 3 minutes of time. So to finish this particular process, once you turn all the boxes into green, then it will automatically move to the next screen. Here it will ask you to create an administrator user. And here provide everything as an admin. I provided everything is admin, password is admin, confirm password admin. And you can provide some dummy email or email ID also. It's not a big thing. So you can provide all administrators, and you need to remember this because this is a main user for the Jenkins, and he is able to create another users or another accounts in Jenkins in future. So he's an admin account. So then click on the save and continue. And once you have done it, and then it will start another scheme and instance configuration. They will give you the URL, Jenkins URL. So by using this URL, we will able to access the Jenkins every time. Just copy this URL somewhere. So whenever you want to access the Jenkins, use this URL on the browser. Then simply click on save and finish. So once you have done it, you will see the final screen called Jenkins is ready. So this is how we can install the Jenkins. So once the Jenkins is ready, then you can open this URL localhost colon 8080 on the browser, and you will able to see the dashboard page. Okay. So till here I have already done. So let me show you my Jenkins dashboard. So localhost colon 8080. So currently my Jenkins is not running because I have not run this command, right? Whenever you run this command, then only Jenkins will start. But only the first time you need to do all this process. Every time you no need to do. Okay, so once the Jenkins is up and ready, and if you close this window, then Jenkins will stop running. Again, tomorrow, if you want to run the Jenkins, again open the command prompt and run this command. So second time I'm running this command. Second time it will not give you any password or anything. It will directly start the Jenkins because I already completed my installation. So you can see started initialization, listing all the plugins. You need to wait till you get this message. Jenkins is fully up and running. So you can minimize it. Now we can see the URL. Go to localhost 8080. Now my Jenkins is started. So I will get a Jenkins login page. Okay, suppose if you close this window, my Jenkins will automatically stop. So that's the reason you need to keep open this box open like this. And then I'm logging to my Jenkins admin, and then click on the sign in. So when you select this checkbox, it will always keep in sign in. Every time it will not ask you the sign in process. So I just clicking on sign in. So once you're clicking on sign in, it will go to the dashboard page. Now we can see this is my dashboard, Jenkins dashboard. Currently, I don't have any projects running in this Jenkins. Okay. So this is the screen you can see like this. So this is the installation part. Till now, we have done installation. And if you close this command prompt, automatically Jenkins will stop running. So we should not close this. Suppose if your work is done in your Jenkins and your task is completed, then you can close this command prompt. Automatically Jenkins also will be stopping. So whenever you need Jenkins, open the command prompt, run the command. And whenever you stop Jenkins, just close the command prompt. Your Jenkins will be automatically stopped. So this is a ways we can simply install Jenkins through WAR file. Okay. So once you have installed Jenkins, then we need to do some configurations to run our GitHub project, or not only GitHub, any Java project. If we want to run in Jenkins, we need to do some additional configurations. Only one-time configurations we have to do. So what are the configurations we have to do is, so if you go back to the manage Jenkins, all the configurations of Jenkins, we can do from the manage Jenkins options. So in this, you can find something called plugins. Okay, plugins you can see. So what it is saying, add, remove, disable, enable plugins that extended the functionality of the Jenkins. Suppose if you want to work with some third-party tools, for example, I want to work with the Maven or GitHub. So these are all external plugins. Some plugins by default will get from the Jenkins installation itself, and some plugins we have to install manually. Okay. So for example, what are the plugins we require is we need a Maven plugin, we need Git plugin, we need GitHub plugin. So these are the plugins we require in Jenkins. So if it is already available, no problem. If it is not available, we have to install manually. So that's the first step we need to do. So if I go back to the plugins here, and you can see multiple sections, available plugins, installed plugins. If I go back to the installed plugins, it will show you what are all plugins are already installed. So let us cross check. Suppose if you type Git, now you can see Git client plugin is already installed, Git plugin, GitHub related plugins. So you can see all Git and GitHub related plugins, they are already installed. Okay, no problem at all. Now, if I look at Maven, Maven. So Maven integration plugin is also successfully installed. And suppose Maven integration plugin by default, you will not get. Only GitHub related plugins you will get. So in that case, what you need to do is you need to go to available plugins, and here you need to search. Like for example, I'm searching for Maven. So when you search for Maven, here you're not getting any Maven related plugins. You will get one thing, release plugin, Maven release plugin, but we don't need actually. And whatever plugin just now I have shown you, that plugin will not be there at the beginning. So if I go back to install plugins, and again, because this plugin additionally have already installed, Maven integration plugin is required. So if I look at in available plugin, so Maven integration, if I search for this, you will not get it here. This you will get something else. But this plugin Maven integration, you will not get. Why? Because I already installed this plugin. So that is appearing in install plugin section. If it is already installed, here it will not come. But if it is not installed, then the Maven integration plugin will show here. Then you need to select the checkbox like this and you need to install it. So Maven integration plugin is required. So how we can install? I have shown you here. So install Maven plugin. How we can do that? We need to go to Maven Jenkins, manage Jenkins. And from there, go to the under system configuration, go to plugin section. And inside the plugin section, and if you look at here, the screen is visible, everyone. Somehow it is blur, but okay, still that's fine. Under available plugins, you need to search for Maven. Here you can see Maven integration plugin. So select the checkbox and click on install. This is only one-time job. Okay, once you newly installed Jenkins, you need to install the Maven plugin. So once you have installed, and then it will start downloading the Maven integration plugin. It will take few seconds. And after that, plugin will be installed. So this is the one thing we need to do. So Maven integration I have done with the Jenkins. The next part is once you install, that will comes under installed plugin section. In installed plugin section, if you select Maven, you will see Maven integration plugin. So this is the only additional plugin we required, but GitHub plugins are already available in the Jenkins itself. Okay. Now, so once you have this plugin installed, additional plugin, again go back to the dashboard. So we need to do some configuration, some more additional plans. Apart from the installation of plugin, we need to do some more additional configuration. In that, we have to specify the Java location, Maven location, and Git location. Because Java, Maven, Git, these three softwares are required to run our automation projects, right? But Jenkins don't know about these three. Jenkins will not come along with these three. So we have already installed Maven, Java, and Git in our local system. So we need to provide those paths inside the Jenkins so that Jenkins will run our automation using those softwares. And paths we need to specify, where we have to specify the paths. This is also one-time configuration. Manage Jenkins, again go to Manage Jenkins. And once you go to Manage Jenkins, and when we have to do this, once you install Maven plugin, then we have to specify the paths. Go to Manage Jenkins, and here you can see something called tools. Okay, tools. So click on the tools. So once you click on the tools, okay, and here you can see the tool section. You can see multiple section. Maven configuration. Okay, so I think not this one. Just a second. Tools or systems. Let me remember. So manage Jenkins. Okay, under system configuration, yes, we need to go to the tools. Under tools, we need to provide three paths: JDK, Git, add Maven. So these are two sections we need to take care. So first go to the manage Jenkins. And once you go to manage Jenkins, go to the tools. And once you go to the tools and Maven configuration, JDK installation, Git installation. And Maven installation, here it is. We don't need to do anything in the Maven configuration here. So directly go to JDK installations. So in the JDK installation, if you expand this, by default, you will get this button. You need to click on add JDK first time. And then you will see you can provide some name here, your JDK name. And here, JDK path, your Java path, where you have installed Java in your local system. I have installed Java on my C drive, program files, Java, JDK. So this is the path you need to copy till the home folder. Copy this path, just provide it here. So this is the JDK configuration. Now scroll down. Here also under the Git installation, you provide the name of the Git. You can provide any name here. This is a user-defined name. And provide the path to Git executable. Means you need to provide executable file also. So we already installed Git last time, right? So go to the C drive and under program files, you can see Git. And here under bin folder, you can see git.exe file. So you need to copy this location and put that. So this is Git path. Now scroll down. Here go to Maven installations and go to here, add Maven. Because this box you will get once you click on add Maven. Because I already clicked on earlier, so I got a box. And there are multiple buttons. It will show you only one Maven is enough. Okay. So provide some name here and provide the Maven path. So in the yesterday I have already installed Maven, right? So where it is in the C drive, think in the program files where I have kept, here it is. So this is the Maven home path. Till here, you need to provide the path. So once you provided these paths in this Maven configuration and tool section, just select the save and apply. Okay, this is again one-time job. Add JDK, add Git, add Maven. So three things we have successfully configured. So now, once you have done it, we are able to see the entire screen. This is a full screen actually. Here I have copied, I think screen is very smaller. So here, this is JDK path, Git path, and Maven path. So these are mandatorily we have to specify because Jenkins will use these three softwares to run our automation. So and then we can click on save and our job is done. So once you installed Jenkins, two additional steps we have done. One is we need to integrate Maven plugin, and that we can do from manage Jenkins and a plugin section. After that, we need to specify the paths, where you have to specify again in the same manage Jenkins and the tool section. We need to specify the path. So go to the tools. It will show you this window, JDK installation and Git installation here, and then Maven installation. So these are the tools we are going to use. So once you have done it, now again go back to the dashboard. So now we are ready to run our project. So how to run our project? GitHub project. So GitHub project is what? Basically, it is a Maven project only, right? Whatever project we have uploaded in the GitHub, we pushed in the GitHub, that's a Maven project. So now what we need to do is just select the new item. So till now, what we have done is we have installed Jenkins and we have installed required plugin. We have set up all the paths. Now Jenkins is ready. So this is one-time job. So once you have done it, and you can create a new item. And here there are different type of projects you can see. And in the GitHub, we have pushed Maven project. So we need to select the Maven project here. Before providing, give some name here. So I'm giving some name, OpenCard project. You can give any name. Okay, some project name is required. Then I'm taking Maven project. I'm selecting this Maven project because in the GitHub, we uploaded Maven project. And then click on OK button. So once you have done it, so it will go to configuration page. This is our configuration page. This is specific item configuration page. In this general section, if you want to write some description about the project, you can write it or else you can leave it. Now directly come to this source code management section. In the source code management section, select Git software, Git. And here you have to provide the URL of your GitHub project. So this is the URL of the GitHub project that we need to provide. So we don't need to provide any credentials, nothing. Okay, so just provide the URL, that's it. And select under source code management, select the Git and provide the URL, that's gone. So that red color error will be gone. So you don't need to provide any credentials, just provide the URL, that's it. Git selected and provided the URL, repository URL. And now come down directly. No need to select anything. By default, it will execute everything from the master branch. And scroll down directly to the build section. And in the build section, pom.xml by default, you can see. And to run pom.xml, what is the command we have executed in the command prompt? Have you remember? To run the pom.xml file through command prompt, what is the command we have executed? mvn test. mvn test. So the same command we have to specify. Test. mvn is not required because by default it's a Maven command. Jenkins will know that. So the goal and options is test. Test is a command, Maven command. And this command will execute the pom.xml. Pom.xml will internally execute the testengine.xml. Testengine.xml will execute all the test cases. So once you provide it, and if you scroll down, here you can see email notification. So if I select this, you need to provide all the recipients who always want to receive a email, like the execution is successful or passed. If you want to know that, you can provide all the email addresses, group of email addresses. Otherwise, you can just unlock this and then click on apply and save. Only two sections, guys. So we need to just select the Git and provide the URL and scroll down and directly go to the build section. Pom.xml by default will be there and execute this command. Test and then apply and then save. So once you have done it, now you are in the current project dashboard. This is project specific dashboard. And if I go back to the main dashboard, here you can see one entry. So this project is so far, we just created a new item here. Okay. And if I look at here, 3 dots are representing not built, means we still not executed this project. So not build is there because we have not executed this part. And this is a main dashboard, and whatever items you created, multiple items, multiple projects you created, you can see multiple items in the list here. Okay. And if you click on this project, it will go to the project specific dashboard. And from here, we can start running the project. So how to run the project here? Simply you can click on build now. So once you click on build now, Jenkins will pull the code from the GitHub repository. That will take few seconds of time. And once you pull the code from the GitHub repository, it will start execution, and the execution status, console logs, everything we can see in the Jenkins itself. Now just observe how I am executing the test. So click on the build now. Once you click on it, in the bottom here, build history, you can see one progress bar, right? And if I click on this progress bar, it will show you console output. So here you can see whether you are able to pull the project and execution is started or not. You can see that. So it is started pulling the project, and you can ignore all the warnings. So it is started executing the test. It is pulling the project first. It will take few seconds of time. So once the project is pulled from the GitHub repository, then it will start execution. So now we can see tests running suit. So var file will by default follow the headed mode execution only. So we're able to see all the screens and everything. But if you really install the Jenkins on the real time, you won't see any screens. Everything will be executed at the backend itself. So this is another test case which is executing. So through Jenkins, we are executing the remote project, which is pushed into the GitHub repository. Now my test case are got passed. I got a report. Okay. So this is how we can run GitHub project inside the Jenkins. Now again, if you go back to the main dashboard, see here, you can see tick mark. Earlier, you can see only 3 dots. And suppose if it is got failed, you will see the cross button here, red color ball you can see. If it is a passed, you can see the tick mark success. If it is not executed still, you can see the 3 dot. You can run this project n number of times. Any number of times you can run this project. Okay, again, if you click on the project, it will go to project specific dashboard. And this is my previous run. You can run n number of times. Okay, if you click on this link, it will show you the when it is executed, who is executed, which repositories got executed. So all the information, it will clearly show you. Okay. So if you want to see the console output, if any failures are happen, you need to go to console output and identify the failures. Again, do modification of the code. Again, you have to commit and push, and again, come back and execute. So this is one-time setup. So once you have configured your project in Jenkins, your job is done. In case in future, if any test cases are got failed in Jenkins, then you need to figure out. So you need to first check your test case are executing your local system in Eclipse. If it is working, again, modify the code and commit and push the code in the GitHub repository. And again, one more round execute in Jenkins, and then it will be fixed. So that's how we can fix it. Okay, so this is how we can run the projects within your Jenkins. This is the process we followed in the normally in the real-time environment. We always run the remote projects in Jenkins. Suppose I don't have a GitHub account. I have project in my local system. Can we execute directly in Jenkins? Can we execute my local project? Suppose my project is already there in my Eclipse. We go back to my Eclipse. I already have my project in my Eclipse. I want to directly run my local project in my Jenkins, not in the GitHub repository. Yes, that is also possible. So I will show you how we can run our local project in our Jenkins. So this is my project, right? So this project I want to execute. So in this, if you go to master.xml file, so I have mentioned, so I have added some more test cases yesterday. I will show you. For now, I'm just commenting these test cases. Okay, so I'm just trying to run these 2 test cases. And also where I want to run, go to your configurations, test resources, configurations. I just want to run on my local system. So comment this. And this is a URL I want to use. Okay, so now I want to run my local project in my Jenkins. Master.xml I want to run. So go to pom.xml. Here I put master.xml. Okay, so now I want to run my local project inside my Jenkins. How we can run? So we already created run.bat file earlier, right? If I open this run.bat file, so these are the 2 commands we have already given. So if you run the bat file, it will directly run the pom.xml or not? Yes. So now we need to run this bat file inside the Jenkins. So how we can do this? There are multiple ways we can do. I'll show you. So go to the new item. Again, select the Maven project. Okay, this is OpenCart underscore local project. And select the Maven project one more time and click on OK. And now again, configuration section. Here we can write description or leave it. So here what we need to do is don't select any source code management or anything. So directly go to the build section. So here provide the POM location. POM location. So where is our POM in our project? So go to your Eclipse and get the location of the POM. Go to properties and provide the full path of the POM. Okay. So go back to your Jenkins, full path of the POM. Okay. Now command is same test. That's it. You can apply, save. Now we can run this project. So click on build now. Now this time it is running my local project. So click on this progress bar. Now you can see the entries. So this is my workspace. My project is currently running. So you can also run your local project inside your Jenkins. This is also one-time configuration. So now it is started executing my test cases. But most of the times we don't run local projects. If you want to run your local project, directly you can run in Eclipse, right? Why we need Jenkins tool? Not required. Right. So perfectly working fine. Okay. Suppose, build is successful. Now, if I go back to the main dashboard, you can see another entry. So OpenCart local project is also successfully executed. Suppose I want to run project through run.bat file. So we already created run.bat file. So there is another way to create. So I'm creating one more new item. So this time I'll select a freestyle project. Okay, this time I'll select a freestyle project. So freestyle project is a common for all kinds of it projects, Maven, Grid, Maven. And there is another tool is there in the market, which is called basically, I forgot the name, Grid or something, not Grid. So let me, Gradle, yeah. So Gradle is another tool which is there in the market, which is competitor of Maven. So if I select the freestyle project, is applicable for all. So let me execute. So this is again OpenCart. I'm executing using bat file. Okay, so I can say bat file. Now this time I'm selecting the freestyle project. When executing through bat file, you need to select the freestyle project, not Maven project. Select the freestyle project. I say okay. Now again configuration page in this. So what you need to do is directly don't select any source code management or anything. Just directly come to the build step, build section here. Okay, and in this, in the build steps section, you need to select this drop down, and here you can see multiple options. And here you need to select Windows, execute Windows batch command. And if you're working on Mac, you have to select execute shell command. So this is the option you have to select if you're working on Mac. And in Windows, you need to select this one, execute Windows batch command. And then here you need to provide the location where exactly your bat file is located. So what you need to do is you need to go to the project again, copy the location of your run.bat file, go to properties, get the location. That's it. Copy this, go back, and then specify. Okay. Or else you can run two commands actually. CD. First, you need to go to this location, project location, and then you need to run the run.bat file. So first, this command will go to the project location. In that project location, run.bat file is there. Okay. For example, in the run.bat file itself, we configured this location, right? So we don't need this. You can just type the run.bat. And again, we have to specify where is run.bat file is present. So we need to provide the path of run.bat file. Inside the run.bat file, again, path is there. Everything is configured. That's it. So just apply and save. And now go to the build now. So this time your project will be executed only through run.bat file. So click on this progress bar. So now we can see it is started my test. So these are multiple ways to run our project inside our Eclipse. So we prefer always run GitHub project using Maven inside the Jenkins. Okay, perfectly fine. So now we have seen 3 different ways to run our project inside the Jenkins. Now, in the real time, which one we will prefer and why? So for example, let me show you something. This is most important scenario. Try to understand this. Yeah, Freestyle is just for demo purpose. Okay, we never use it most of the times. Yeah, look at this. In the real-time environment, I said DevOps will own the Jenkins application, right? So let's say this is my DevOps and this is my DevOps server. And in the DevOps server, here my Jenkins is running. Jenkins application is running. Okay, this is my testing environment. And this is my Eclipse, is my local environment. And this is my local system. Okay, this is my local system. Okay, now I'll access the Jenkins into my local system, right? So I'll access the Jenkins using URL because this is a web application. So now I'm accessing the Jenkins in my browser locally. So in this particular Jenkins, can we run the local project? In this Jenkins, can we run the local project directly using Freestyle project or Maven project, whatever? Can we run it? So we are accessing this Jenkins from the DevOps machine, DevOps system, or this is a different machine totally. And in this Jenkins, can we run our local project or not? No. Why? Why we cannot run? Two reasons. One is inside the Jenkins, whatever Java path, Maven path, Git path we set right in the configuration, those paths are referring DevOps system. So in the DevOps system, Git, JDK, everything will be installed. Those paths only recognized by Jenkins. In the remote Jenkins, we cannot specify the local paths. In the remote Jenkins application, we cannot specify the local paths. That is not valid. That will not identify. In Jenkins, remote Jenkins application, the paths also should be from the remote system itself. Okay, so that's the reason we cannot run our local projects inside remote Jenkins. So GitHub is a remote application. Using this URL, we can run the project inside the Jenkins. But why we are able to run our project in Jenkins now, local project? Because Jenkins is also installed on my local system, right? My project is there in local system. Jenkins also there in my local system. So Jenkins can easily recognize my local paths. JDK path, Git path, Maven path, okay, project path, everything is able to recognize because Jenkins also have installed my local system so that it is possible. But in the real time, Jenkins will be in different system. So in that you cannot configure the local paths so that you cannot execute your local project inside the Jenkins. If you still want to execute, you have to push your project to GitHub repository, then get the URL and execute in Jenkins. So now everybody is clear on this. Please confirm in the chat box. So everybody please confirm in the chat box. I've cleared about Jenkins. So this is a simple way we can use a Jenkins. Okay, so all the schemes I have provided. So how to run our project. So you can just how to run GitHub Maven project in Jenkins. Select the new item, provide the name, select the Maven project, and go to source code management, select the Git, provide the URL, and in format XML, test command, save and apply, then go to build now, and execution will happen. So build will be successful. So every screenshot is captured step by step. You can just go through this and you can do one round of practice. So that's it about the Jenkins. So if you learn the DevOps or if you join in DevOps course in future somewhere, so you can learn in depth of Jenkins and Maven because they will teach you how we can create the entire pipelines and how we can organize and how we can control and administrate Jenkins and GitHub, everything you will learn in depth. But for now, for testing perspective, this much is enough. Just you need to configure your project in the Jenkins and that will keep it run. Okay, if it is a normal Java project, you can go with the Freestyle project. You can select the Freestyle project and then you can execute. You don't take the Maven project. So in Eclipse, instead of Maven project, if I have a normal Java project, for example, if you want to run that project, you can directly go to Freestyle project and then execute. But we don't do like this. Normal Java projects, we don't run. Even Java developers also, create a Maven project. So for development purpose, they will create a Maven project because they also need a lot of dependencies. So they will add all the dependencies bounded XML, they can do it. But if you use normal Java project, you need to manually add all the dependencies and everything. So even developers also don't create normal Java project. So normal Java project is only for learning purpose, but not for the real-time projects. The projects we can create always Maven project. Okay. So this is all about Maven project. So can go through this screenshot. I can just try one round of practice. Once you have upload, suppose if still not uploaded your project to the GitHub repository, you can use this URL. So I already uploaded, right? So install your Jenkins in your system, do all the configurations, required configurations, and run this project. So you can also run my project. If your project is having some issues, still not completed, still that is fine. You can run this URL in your local Jenkins application. It will work. But configurations, you have to do very carefully. That is most important. Okay. So now go to your project. So I have added some more test cases. I will leave it to you. You guys can explore. So I have added some more page object classes. You can see here, search page, shopping cart page, checkout page. I have added 3 page object classes additionally. Also, I have added 3 more test cases. One is search product test case. This is for searching the product in our application. And this is adding product to the cart. That is another functionality. I have added another test case. And this is end-to-end test case. So end-to-end test case is nothing but, so this is first, everything it will do from the beginning. Account registration first. And then after account registration, with the same email ID, it will log into application. And after successful login, it will search and add product to the cart. And then it will go to shopping cart. And then it will do the checkout product process. And finally, it will capture the total price and we do the validation. And payment options are not available here. Email sending and payment options not available because there's the demo applications. So this piece of code will not work. I have just commented this. But till here, everything will work. And that too, this will work only on your local application. If you install OpenCart application on your local system using XAMPP, so this code will work properly. Shopping cart, checkout process will work. But the real application, it will not work. Okay, so have this. If you have already installed local application, you can run this. Otherwise, you can leave it, no problem. End-to-end test case I'm talking. But rest of the two, add to cart and search product. So these 2 things will work in any application. Okay, and added those test cases in all XML. So this is master XML. I have added all the test cases here and one XML file for grouping testing. So here this XML file control the grouping. I also added all the test cases in whichever group you want, you can add it. And this is for Git standalone XML file. If you want to run your test case in the local grid environment, you can use this XML file. And if you want to execute test case on the Docker grid, then you have to use another XML file, git docker.xml file. So for multiple purposes, we created multiple XML files. And whichever XML file you want to run, put that XML file in the pom.xml here and then start execution. So this is a complete project. I have added a few more test cases. I will share this entire project today, complete project. I will zip it and store it. I'll upload in the Google Drive. You can get it from here. Okay. So this is all about hybrid-driven framework. I'm not going to push this project in the GitHub repository. I will share in the Google Drive. You can get it from there. You can download and you can import in your Eclipse. You can work on it. And GitHub repository, we already pushed yesterday code, right? So the basic code, 2 test cases are already there in the GitHub repository. And this is a final project, project. And also you can see everything, page object classes, test base class, test cases, utility classes, resources files, okay, and then log files, reports, screenshots, everything you can see, right? So Docker compose, this is for Docker. All the commands I put in one text file, you can see here. So to run the standalone grid, you can execute these 2 commands. First, you need to go to your project location, then execute this command. It will start your local grid environment. Also, the server.jar file also I kept inside the project. So you don't need to refer anywhere else. And grid Docker, if you want to start git Docker, go to this location and execute this command. So this command will internally use Docker compose.yaml file. And to stop the grid containers, you can execute this command. Okay, to run the pom.xml XML in the command prompt, you can execute this maven command. All the commands I put in one single text file, you can easily refer that. But when you run your test cases remotely, you need to carefully check the configuration file. Suppose if you want to run my grid environment, first thing is what you need to check, this part is remote or not. And the second thing is what? You need to provide the global URL, not the local host URL. And the next thing is we need to go to the XML file and you can put the on which environment you want to execute. So then execute it. That's it. So everything is available. The only thing is you need to keep adding more number of test cases. I have already shared Excel sheet earlier. There are so many number of test cases are there. From each sheet, take one single test case and try to automate. So if required, add more number of page object classes and add more number of test cases. So I have added few test cases here. Similarly, you guys also can add more number of test cases and just execute. Add XML file in Power XML, then execute. That's it. So this is a hybrid driven framework for Selenium WebDriver. Okay. So with this, we have finished this entire framework. So in this particular session, especially have added this part. So in the previous sessions, I have not covered this part, grid environment and everything. So even Docker, if not covered, grid is not covered, but this is newly added in this framework. So that's the reason it take another 2 more sessions on the framework concept. Okay. So I'll share all the document yesterday I already shared. And today I will share this entire project, full-fledged project. You can keep it with you and then you can execute. Okay. So I'll stop here for today's session. And from the next session, we will start Kukumbar part. If you have any questions, we will discuss.